Hey Captains, this is Karandar. I hope you're all managing to stay safe and sane these days with the lockdown. Times like these, they help remind us what's important in our lives and helping friends and families more meaningful than ever. In this video, I'm running a recent Clan Battles replay in the background while I discuss my thoughts and our experiences so far with this Clan Battle Season 9. This is the first that's allowed taking either a carrier or a battleship, and to say that allowing carriers into the clan battles has been controversial would be a serious understatement from the forums and the Reddit world. When we first heard the details of this season, the concerns we had allowing CVs was smaller clans. Many don't have the seasoned CV captains, and that can be a real game changer when fighting against a skilled veteran. This initially seemed to put these clans at a fair disadvantage. The spotting offered by carriers easily matches having two destroyers on your team and puts destroyers at a far greater battle risk than not having the carrier. It's a significant change in play style and team makeup. Common clan battles tactics in the past of being able to sneak around, flank the enemy with one or two ships, and suddenly find these guys behind you, and the decisiveness that offers. That's now a thing of the past. A lone cruiser trying to flank versus, say, a Hakuryu will quickly find themselves in a lot of trouble. We're now a week into this clan battle season, and it's been our most successful ever in winning and ranking. We've got both our Alpha and Bravo teams are into the next league early on the third day already. But that said, the first few days have been some of the least enjoyable of all the clan battles we've ever played, and that's a universal feeling among my clanmates. We began this season taking a midway, this being the most consistent for the captains we had available in those first few sessions. We also started playing with one destroyer in our mix, first a Holland because it's fast, long-range torpedoes, and then a Grozovoy, which is a solid fire starter and good gun range, both these destroyers being among the best for anti-aircraft at Tier 10. We only played 5 or 6 battles with this fleet makeup, and we very quickly found that the destroyer player options were severely tied by the CV spotting and massive radar that we've been seeing this season. We actually saw one team, 6 Stalingrads, 1 Hakuryu. We're seeing a lot of teams with heavy cruiser mixes like that. So we ended up switching to 6 cruisers and the CV, and while the midway works well enough, this season, she's vastly outclassed by any good Hakuryu captain. The Hack's aircraft survivability is so much stronger than the midways that even carefully supporting each other in your cruisers with overlapping anti-aircraft, managing defensive AA so that you've always got one up, the Hack's planes, and in particularly the massively overpowered AP bomber she has, versus any parked or slow-moving ship just lands massive Citadel hit after Citadel hit. And we've even seen this against enemy battleships. Considering most of that damage is non-repairable, it makes the Hakuryu this season's #1 bully, in my opinion. We have one quite well-practiced Hakuryu captain, and we just lost one game in the evening that he was available to play with us. And that just shows the strength of that ship. 2 sessions ago, getting frustrated by the diversity of teams we faced, the inconsistency we had, trying to come up with some kind of tactic, we decided to try something more radical and also to try to make the season more enjoyable because we really weren't having much fun. We gave up the carrier. We've run nearly 20 battles since with a battleship and 6 heavy cruisers, and we play with what we've been calling a cautiously aggressive playstyle, pushing as hard as we can without getting nuked in the process. This takes a lot of communication, a lot of coordination from the entire team to protect each other's broadsides while maintaining powerful overlapping anti-aircraft. And if we do that, it neuters the aircraft carrier's effectiveness a lot. The CV's main strengths are spotting the enemy and damage over time. So what we've been trying to do is play ships that were pretty much spotted all the time anyways, and we're trying to shorten up the length of the games that we're playing, be more aggressive. This replay, for example, is one of our earlier attempts, and it started out really rough. It was a really good example of what not to do. If you're just a little overzealous, you'll fail. But if you all push together, it can be very difficult to counter. And the opportunities arise from one flank being able to push successfully through the enemy, and then having the excellent flanking position to support the other side's push is really effective. And we've only been using a Montana and Grosser Kurfürst in ours. Well, I think the Kremlin would actually be best suited for this strategy. We have an excellent win rate playing this style during the last 2 days, and honestly, it's renewed the fun factor, like huge. It's not easy, but it is very enjoyable. And we allow our guys to bring a mix of ships. 2 Stalingrads are ideal. We've run with 3. We could run with more, but they have their own limitations as well. Heavy cruisers are favored, but we've even allowed Hindenburgs, Goliaths in the mix, and they've been working just fine. Venezia is a great counter to destroyers we do see, and she's also able to solidly aid in wearing down the enemy bow tankers. We always begin being behind. We lose a cap. Sometimes we even lose a ship. This example was pretty bad. This game is a rough game to begin with, but it ends up with a pretty good result. With this fleet makeup, learning the timing, when to have the patience to allow your teammates to get into better positions, when to be aggressive, and sometimes just when to wait for an enemy to make a mistake. And it's all part of what makes it a really good fun. If our success continues, we'll likely not be using a CV or destroyer for the rest of this season. So in a way, this season's almost like a regression in the game to the early and super fun days of World of Warships with battleships and cruisers. Maybe that's not a bad thing. I guess the worst part about this is this season, any team taking a destroyer is limiting themselves or seriously challenging themselves. I doubt we'll be seeing any 7 destroyer memes like we did last season, and destroyers in this season are just mostly irrelevant. My personal opinion is that carriers are too strong in spotting. CV spotting a destroyer should be treated like radar and cyclones, in my opinion. Having a delay before the rest of the CV's team can shoot at the destroyer, or even better, only the CV should be able to attack the destroyer until such time that the destroyer shoots or otherwise makes himself visible to the enemy team. The rest of the CV player team would only see the destroyer on the mini-map. And the other part is AP bombs. They're very broken, overpowered. At a minimum, they shouldn't be citadel damage, which would allow more of their damage to be repairable, and that would make their massive strikes a lot better managed, and I think would go a long ways to helping the player base accept carriers as being more balanced. So it's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out with team makeups, if teams out there find a successful mix with destroyers, or if we're just going to see that class largely ignored for the rest of the season. Even for that matter with carriers, the clans that don't have a very solid Hakuryu captain, I think you're going to see a lot of clans opting for a build like we've done, fleet makeup. I think it's going to, and my hope is that we're going to see a good discussion on how to better balance the aircraft carriers, especially if they're going to be allowed in competitive in the future. Well, thanks very much for watching. I think that's it for now. I hope you're all having some fun with this season. Please share your successes and failures, your thoughts and observations below in the comments. And until the next time, good hunting.